everyone. My name is Teresa Lewis. I'm the Director, Office of the Small and Disadvantaged Business Utilization here at the Department of Health and Human Services. Today we're providing training on the Small Business Review System. This system was recently implemented to automate the current manual, paper-based process of reviewing procurements for small business consideration. This system has several benefits, such as automating the process. So now, instead of you having lots of paper, you're going to have an electronic system that will maintain the records for you. It's a transparent workflow. You will know at any point in time who is reviewing your particular requirement, where it is, what stage. You also have vacation rules where if you need to have it reviewed by a particular individual, the next one in the process, then you can select that person. So you as a reviewer now will be able to set up your vacation rules so that those that originate the forms can then forward it on to the next reviewer. It will allow you to print the files. You'll be able to track. It will allow you to print the document so that you can insert it into your files. It will allow you to develop reports for your specific needs, your particular optive, any particular socioeconomic category. It's going to give you that flexibility, and at any point in time you will know exactly what is going on with your review process, and we expect it to take time. We expect it to save you time. Now, the Small Business Administration is regulatorily given 5 business days to complete their reviews. But with this new automated system, it should not take as long. However, we must allow them that time, but I don't expect it to take that long. So what I'm going to do today is ask Andrew to join me with providing this training. It's going to be 1 hour. It's going to provide you with 1.5 CLPs, and following the 1 hour training, we will have a half hour for Q&As. So, Andrew, thank you for joining me this morning.
Thank you, Teresa.
All right, I'll turn it over to you, Andrew.
Okay, fantastic. I'd like to welcome everybody to the reviewer training for the Small Business Review System. As Teresa said, my name is Andrew, and I'm going to be taking you through the system and giving you an introduction to the functionality underlying the Small Business Review System, as well as some walkthroughs for how to actually use the Small Business Review System as a reviewer. So jumping right into it, the Small Business Review System provides a web-based automated platform for HHS acquisition staff to initiate, review proposal acquisitions, and provide approval through the acquisition workflow. As Teresa mentioned, training is scheduled to last up to 1 hour, after which we will be able to answer any questions that you may have. And the training will, as I said, consist of a series of demonstrations that will cover system basics, including logging in and navigating the Small Business Review System, form review, searching and reporting tools, and system utilities. Oh, and please save all questions until the end of training so that we can properly address them. The following user roles are currently available in the Small Business Review System. Of these roles, we will be discussing 4 today. The 4 we will be discussing today are the Small Business Specialist, SBA PCR, which is Procurement Center Representative, OSPU Deputy Director, and Director roles. Once submitted, a Small Business Review form is routed along a chain of reviewers for approval prior to closeout. As we mentioned previously, this is an automated process. A review form can follow one of 3 conditionally dependent paths to closeout based on dollar thresholds. If the form's value, and that means total value including option years and base value, is less than $150,000, or that review form is a small business set-aside, which you specify in the procurement method for the review form, then the form follows this path. It is initiated by either a contracting specialist or a contracting officer. It is and then routed to the contracting officer responsible for that, that is selected by the contract specialist, or if it is a contracting officer, it is routed directly to the small business specialist for review and approval. Once approved by a small business specialist for forms less than $150,000, the form is closed out and does not require SBA approval. For forms greater than $150,000, but less than $5 million, and not a small business set-aside, forms will follow the path that was in the first condition, but you will require approval by SBA PCR before the form is closed out. And lastly, if the value of the review form is greater than $5 million, the form will follow the entire routing procedure, where it is initiated by a CS or CO, reviewed by a small business specialist, who in turn routes it for approval to a SBA PCR. And then lastly, the form is reviewed and approved by the OSPU Deputy Director and Director before closeout. So that covers the underlying functionality in the system. I'm going to take you through some walkthroughs so that get you familiar with how to access the system, navigate it, and then interact with the review forms. The training will cover, as I mentioned at the beginning, system basics, including logging in and navigation, the process for claiming a review form, how to review a review form and either disapprove or approve it, how to print a review form for your records. Additionally, I'll be showing you how to conduct a search and generate a report, and lastly, how to use the system utilities. These utilities are available to SBS, OSPU Deputy Director and Director, but primarily they're purpose for use by small business specialists. And these include the user management tool and forwarding utility tool. Right. So now I'm going to jump over to the system, and I'm going to take you through the small business review system. Now, the process that I'm about to show you is going to be slightly different than you will experience on your first time logging in. I'll explain the differences as we go through. To log in, first enter your email address, and this is the email address that is associated with your account. If you do not know your email address, you may want to check with your small business specialist to see which account, what your email address is. And then for this purpose, I'm just going to use a default account that I created. And then enter your password. If you are a new user, this will be a temporary system-generated password, which I believe is new user. And this will be used for one-time access, after which you will have to create a personalized email or personalized password for subsequent access to the system. All right. Once you've entered your login and password, select the login button. This will bring you to the applications portfolio. The applications portfolio is a cover for multiple systems, as there is only one system currently in this application portfolio, and that is the Small Business Review System. We can navigate to the Small Business Review System by selecting the link below. For first-time users, once you select the Small Business Review System, you will see a message scroll across the top of the screen, and this message will tell you that you'll need to update your password before you can continue using the system. As I'm not a new user, I'm not receiving this message, but if I was receiving this message, I can navigate to the user profile to update my password. To locate your user profile, locate the Small Business Review System banner at the top of the page and select the user profile link. On the user profile, you can update your information associated with your account, including your phone number and fax. But for the purposes of a new user, the main field here is password. Password can only be changed after resetting your account or after first-time login. You enter your new password in the password field, and then select the Save Information button. This will update your password to the password entered in the password field. Selecting the Small Business Review System link a second time will bring you to your home page. No message will appear, and you will be able to access the system. The home page consists of 3 panels. The first is the System Information panel, which presents your personal information about the operating division that your account represents and your title. Additionally, the My Items table is the second on the right side of the page, lists all forms associated with your account. For originators, this will include any form that they have created. For reviewers, this is any form that's currently in your work list and requires your approval. Reviewers will receive an email notification that lets them know that they have a new form in their work list. Now, I'm going to log out and log back in as a small business specialist to show you how to go about claiming a review form. Unlike other users, small business specialists have an additional work list that they will need to access. On their homepage, they will see a My Items list and an Optive Items list. The reason for this is that all forms submitted by an Optive by an operating division will go to the SBS user that is responsible for that operating division. As there are multiple small business specialists responsible for originating operating divisions, they have a group work list, which is their Optive Items work list. This is here at the bottom of the page. Now, the Optive Items work list is a group work list, which means that you shouldn't be working out of it. So you should not be approving review forms in this work list, as that would possibly cause redundant work to be performed by multiple small business specialists. There is a process for claiming a review form, and the process effectively will move the review form from your Optive Items work list, which is available to all SBS users, into your My Items work list. To forward a review form to yourself, or to claim a review form, navigate to the Actions menu on the left side of the screen and select the Utility button. The Utility page consists of two tools that are particularly useful for small business specialists. The first tool is the Maintain Users utility. This tool allows you to create and add new users to the system. I'm going to show you how to use this at the end of training. Additionally, there's the Forward Review Form tool, which allows you to select a review form and forward it to another user. For the purposes of this training, and for claiming a review form, you're going to be forwarding this review form to yourself. So the first thing is you need to make note of the review form's number. Okay. So looking in the My Items table, or the Optive Items table, sorry, you can see that there's a column marked Control Number. This lists the internal review number that the form will use as it goes through the system. The control number consists of three elements. The first is the fiscal year in which the form was created. The second is the originating operating division. And the third is the sequential order in that fiscal year in which the form was submitted for that operating division. Making note of this review form, I'm going to forward myself the 6 form routed in year 2014. Okay. So I'm going to make note that it's 0006 for 2014. I'm going to locate the system utilities and then scroll to the bottom of the page. And in the review form drop-down menu, I'm going to navigate to 2014 HHS 0006. And then in the Forward to drop-down menu, I'm going to select myself. In this case, it's Andrew SBS. Having selected the form I want to forward and the person I want to forward it to, which is myself, I'll select the Forward button. Okay. And then navigate back to my home page by selecting the Cancel SBRS Home link at the bottom of the Actions menu. I would like to point out at this time that this link is available on any page within the system. You can select the SBRS Home link to navigate back to your home page at any point in time. Now you'll see that the item 0006 has been removed from my Items menu, my Optive Items menu, and moved to my Items menu. Okay. Now, to actually work the review form, in your My Items work list, select the link in the control number column. This will bring you to the review form with all of the fields grayed out. This is because, as you are not the originator, you are not able to physically change the fields. What you can do is request that the small business or that the contracting officer or contract specialist who originated the review form make changes by entering comments in the review information panel. The first step in the review process will be to look over the review form and identify any areas where changes need to be made. If you're having trouble reading the form online as it's grayed out, you can print it in a hard copy or an electronic version by selecting the Print View button. To print a form, navigate to the Actions menu and select Print View. This will open up a new page that has a more easily readable version of the form. Additionally, you can select at the upper left-hand side of the screen, you can select the Print button. Selecting the Print button will prompt you to choose a printer to print a hard copy to. Right. So I'm going to cancel out of that and navigate back to the Small Business Review form. And I went a little fast there, so I'm going to backtrack. To navigate back to your review form from the Print View, select the Return button. Once on the review form, scroll down to the bottom of the page. Here you will see 2 new sections. the review, or not two new sections to you, these two sections are not available to contracting officers and contracting specialists. These are added after a form is submitted. The purpose of these two sections is to allow you to track actions taken on the review form and view supporting documents uploaded by the originator. In the review information section, you'll see a table that provides you with the information associated with the actions taken on the form. It will tell you the title of the individual who made a change to the review form, the user who made the change, and this will be the user's name, the action that was taken, and any comments associated with that action. So as you can see, this form was submitted by Leonard CO, and then was disapproved with comments, resubmitted, and then forwarded along the small business specialist. Okay. So to actually perform a review, you navigate to the bottom of the review information section and select the action drop-down menu. In the action drop-down menu, you can choose to either approve or disapprove with comments. Regardless of the action taken, you can enter comments in the comments field. All right, so I'm going to choose approve, and then I'm going to add a comment that's somewhere along the lines of, this is a good form. All right, and having entered this information, I can now officially perform the review and say review completed. Throughout the process of reviewing the review form, I can select the view link in the supporting documents table to see the supporting documents, and then that can also guide you through determining whether or not approval is allowed. Once all action has been taken on the review form, select the Review Completed button at the bottom of the page. This will bring you back to your home page. You can see that the form is no longer listed in your My Items table. That is because the item has now been routed on to the next level reviewer for approval. If you had selected to disapprove with comments, this form would have been routed back to the originator for changes to be made. Additionally, any comments you entered in the comments column, and I'm going to jump into another table to show you. In the review information section, in the comments column, this is where what you entered in the comments field will appear associated with your name. So that concludes the section on reviewing a review form. Next, I'd like to take you through a walkthrough of how to conduct a search and generate a report in SBRS. To conduct a search, select the Actions menu on the left side of the page and select the Search button. All right. On the search page, you will be required to specify your operating division and the date range that you'd like to search. The operating division for reviewers is any available operating division within the system. For contracting officers and contract specialists, this is going to be limited to only their operating division. So I'm going to choose HHS. All right. Additionally, you can search by specific originator, by available funding office. If you know the control number associated with your review form, you can enter the control number in the field provided, or the requisition number associated with that review form. All right. Now I'm going to specify a date range so I can begin my search. And I'm going to make this a long date range. 2012. Okay. And once all information has been entered, select the search button. This will bring you to the search results list. The search results list functions similarly to a report. They both provide lists of review forms based on the criteria entered. The significant difference between a search and a report is that a search allows you to access other review forms. So as you can see here, the search result list presents something that resembles a work list table with a clickable link in the control number column. Selecting a link in the control number column will bring you to that review form so that you can see any changes that have been made on it. Additionally, if you have a long list of review forms in your work list, you can search for the specific one without having to scroll through pages of review forms. If at any point you'd like to refine your search or redo your search, you can select the Reset Search button, which will clear all the forms on the research page, or Refine Search button, which will leave the forms as you entered them. And I'm going to select Refine Search. This brings me back to my home page, or back to my search page, rather, with the operating division still specified and the date range I entered. Right? So that's how you conduct a search in the Small Business Review system. To generate a report, locate the Actions menu on the left side of the page and select the Report button. The Report page has 3 available reports associated with it. The first is your total list report, which allows you to run a report on all review forms meeting criteria for your operating division, or for any operating division that you are responsible for. The second report is the Procurement Method Statistics report. This report provides you with a breakdown of procurement methods and dollar values associated with those procurement methods by operating division. And lastly, your My Items report allows you to run a report of the items currently associated with your work list. So, I'm going to show you how to run a report. To run a report, the first thing you need to do is select the type of report you would like to run. In this example, I'm going to choose a total list report. In the drop-down menu for Optiv, you have to specify one of the operating divisions in order to search. So I'm going to select all operating divisions. Okay. Additionally, you can filter by status and dollar range. By status means that you can select either searching only forms that are under CO review, under SBS review, or even forms that have been withdrawn. I'm going to leave that as all. For dollar range, you can search for forms, or generate a report on forms, rather, that are less than $150,000, between $150,000 and $650,000, greater than $650,000 but less than $5 million, and then greater than $5 million. And lastly, you can sort by control number or entry date. Right. Now I'm going to select the date range. And again, I'm going to enter a long date range. And once all information has been entered, select the Run Report button on the bottom of the page. Now you can see that this is similar in appearance to the search table. The main difference here is that the control numbers are not clickable, so you cannot locate the review form by using this tool. Instead, this tool is more designed for saving an external copy of this report to your desktop or printing a copy for your records. To print a copy of the total list report, select the Print button at the top of the page. As with a review form, this will open up an HTML version, which you can then choose to print. To navigate back, just close that window. All right. Now to save and export the review form, the report to your desktop as a Word or Excel format, in the Save As drop-down menu, select either MS Word or MS Excel, and then select the Export button. This will prompt you to save the file to your desktop. The document or Excel file saved will be editable and printable once saved to your desktop. Right. I'm going to say Cancel. Right. And at any point, if you'd like to reset your report or refine your report criteria, you can select the Refine button or Reset button to navigate back to your report page. I want to clear all the report information I'd entered, so I'm going to select the Reset button. This brings you back to the report utility. And here you can see that all fields have been wiped so that you can conduct a new search. Again, at any point through this process, you can navigate back to your home page by selecting the Cancel SBRS Home link. Lastly, I'd like to take you through a walkthrough of the utilities available in SBRS. Again, these utilities are primarily for use by small business specialists, but they are also available to deputy director and director accounts. To access utilities, locate the Actions menu on the left side of the page and select the Utility button. On the Utility page, I'm going to talk now about the Maintain Users tool. Now, the Maintain Users tool allows you to modify, remove, or add new users to the system. To modify a user, in the drop-down menu at the top of the Maintain Users utility, select the user's name, and it will populate the fields below with all the information associated with that user's account. Right. You can see that Andrew Clark account is a contract specialist, and this is his information. If you want to make any changes, you can revise by perhaps changing a role, and then selecting the Update button at the top of the page. Alternatively, I could remove Andrew Clark from the system by selecting the Delete button, which would wipe him from the system, and he wouldn't be able to log in anymore. Okay. If you want to add a new user to the system, instead of selecting someone from the drop-down menu, click the New button at the top of the utility. This will clear the form, and you will be able to fill it in with the information for the new user. In the Optive drop-down menu, select the operating division you'd like that user to be associated with. Enter the role that you'd like them to have. Then enter their first name and last name, email ID, and phone number. Now, this email ID that is associated with the account should also be used as their login. So I'm going to copy this and paste it into the user ID field. If you run into an instance where there's multiple email addresses, you can enter anything in this user ID field. But the standard at this point in time is to use the user's email address. The last step is to enter the initial password. As I mentioned previously, the automated system password is new user, so I'm going to add that. And then I'm going to select the Update button to finalize this new user. Right. So this new user has been added to the system and will be able to access the system. They will be given an email with their temporary password and informed that they will need to access the system. And they'll be available in the Maintain Users drop-down menu. So the last tool available to small business specialists is the Forward Review Form tool. We used this previously to forward a review form tool ourselves so that we could move it from our Optive Items work list to our My Items work list. Additionally, this tool can be used to route forms between users at any level in the system. The only caveat to that is that the review status must match the reviewer receiving the form. For instance, if the form is under CO review, it can only be routed between CO users. If the form is in Deputy Director review, it can only be routed between Deputy Directors. And again, to route a review form, select the review form in the drop-down menu, and then select the individual to forward the review form to. And lastly, select the Forward button. This will move the review form from the work list of the person that you had specified, or that it had originally belonged to, into the work list of the person that you had specified. Right. And lastly, as I continually mention, you can navigate back to your home page by selecting the Cancel SBRS Home link at the bottom of the Actions menu. This concludes my walkthrough of the Small Business Review System, and I'd like to invite Teresa back to answer any questions that you may have. Okay. So the first question we have is the requisition number a PRISM requisition number? Is it required?
Yes, the requisition number is the PRISM number, and yes, it is required. However, there may be times when you have started the procurement, the review process without a rec number. What's asked of you is that you come back before we archive the document to complete that information. So as soon as you get the rec number, that you come back in and edit and then enter the requisition number.
Copies of this training.
Yes, we will make slides available. However, you also have there's a link on the sbrs.hhs.gov website for the user manual.
Oh, I just got a question that said I cannot hear Teresa. So it's good now? Okay.
Okay.
Sorry about
that. All right. So the first question was, Is the requisition number required, and is it a PRISM requisition number? And the answer is yes, it is a PRISM requisition number, and yes, it is required. There may be times when you begin the review process and you don't have the requisition number. So we ask that as soon as you receive the requisition number, that you come back in and edit the document to input that information.
All right, and I see a question that I could probably answer. Will there be an instruction or job aid available for working with the system? There is currently a user guide that will be available, and I'm going to jump back to the system to show you. In the system banner, you can select the user guide link, and this will allow you to access the user guide, which is basically a series of walkthroughs through the system. So yes, so there will be resources available. When will we be required to use the system?
We will send you a notification. It went into effect 1 October, and I recognize that there are some forms, some reviews that have already have started using the old process, and I've asked the small business specialists at each Optive to keep a record of those so that we can come back later and enter those into the system. But I will send you notification shortly. It shall be within the next few days on when we can actually start using the system.
And then another question arose. Is there a user guide available with screenshots? Yes, there are screenshots available within the user guide, as well as callouts that identify steps, and then the step-by-step instruction as well. Yeah, let me refresh this page. Can a solicitation number be used in place of a requisition number?
No, a solicitation number cannot be used in place of a requisition number because the review has to be completed before you can actually issue a solicitation. Okay.
And what is the web address to find the system?
It is https://SBRS, S for small, B for business, R for review, S for system, SBRS.gov. .hhs.gov.
Right. When is the Go Paperless deadline?
Again, that was the same question that we received previously, and I will send you notification. I will send it out via the same method that we use to notify you of the training of the effective date, and it should be within the next few days. There are a couple of areas where we're tweaking, and as soon as those areas are resolved, we will notify everyone.
Okay. Is there a help desk?
Yes, if you have questions, please notify your small business specialist, and your small business specialist will then notify Ms. Waters, and we will get it resolved. Ms. Waters is our current core, and our core will get all of your questions addressed.
So this is only internal to HHS. We don't route these to the SBA within the system.
These forms actually will be routed to the Small Business Administration. So the forms are only for HHS acquisitions. However, all of the SBA Procurement Center representatives, or PCRs, are a part of this process, and we have already built a work profile in, and they are included.
And it seems like that's the last of the first round.
Okay, so let me answer let me address a couple of questions that we received from the previous training.
Sure.
We received questions such as, is the 653 required for Veterans Administration orders? And yes, they are. They're required for VA orders as well as for GSA orders. Can a person have two functions in the user system? And Andrew, I'm not sure if you addressed that or not.
No, but I can now.
Please do.
Currently, the users are not able to have multiple access roles. That being said, there are roles that have shared functionality. So, for instance, a contracting officer in the system can both initiate and review forms, thereby acting as a CS or CO user. But effectively, from the system standpoint, no, you have to have one role or another.
But when that contracting officer originates the form, the contracting officer does not have to have another contracting officer to complete their review. It will then route to the next person in the next role in the review process, which would be the small business, the optive small business specialist. So thank you, Andrew. If the reviewer is on leave, can the reviewer access the pending documents for approval? And the answer is absolutely yes. It's a web-based system. It's designed that you can access it from anywhere that you have web access. And how do you get your CLPs was another question. You'll receive your CLPs. We will receive a list of all of the registrants, and we will take that list and work with the Office of Acquisition Workforce Development, and we will provide everyone with a certificate based on the list of registrants. Okay. Those are all of the questions that I have. Did we get any additional ones in, Andrew?
Let's see. Oh, I can. So CO cannot also be the SBS. I am the SBS and also a CO/CS.
So can you, the CO, also be the small business specialist? No, you cannot. There is one instance where you can be, and that is at the Indian Health Service, where you have the additional duty of being the small business technical assistant, and so that our technical advisor, and that is the only role. Now, in that case, we actually have developed a role for you so that you can enter your information, so that you can conduct your review as an SBTA. There are no other small business specialists in the department that have that authority. If you feel that you do and you're working in any other position, you will need to notify me, teresa.lewis@hhs.gov directly, and we can discuss that further. All right. Anything else, Andrew?
Let's see. Yeah, we have one last one. Do you think this process will increase or decrease 653 approval times?
Yes, I do think this process will reduce the review time. Often what happens is when the form is originated, especially if someone is out of the office, then the form just sits. Sometimes they have especially contracting officers who have a lot of contract specialists that work for them, may not necessarily be aware that they have all of these 653s that are waiting for them. Also, in the past, our small business specialists would gather up a handful of the 653s from your respective octave and would drive them, if they were not co-located at the NIH, would drive them to the NIH to meet with the PCR once a week. Now the PCR will have instantaneous information on all of the reviews that need to be conducted. So yes, I expect it to decrease the amount of time to complete the reviews significantly. All right.
And we just got another question about IHS specifically, and this user is asking if you can clarify offline.
Yes, absolutely. And what we will do for those that are in the role of the IHS SBTA, we will have a separate telephone conference with all of you to discuss your role and how we will implement that into the automated small business review system. We will contact you shortly to make that happen.
Okay, and that seems to be the last of the questions.
All right. Well, one additional comment I want to make is if a requirement is being set aside for a small business, then it is not required to have the SBA PCR review. I know in the past and at some octaves that was required. That is no longer going to be required. So this concludes our reviewer training. At 11 a.m., we're going to have the originator training, and you're welcome to register for that as well. And all of the questions that we have received both during this session and previous sessions, we're going to make available online and in the form of FAQs. If you have other questions, please email the core, linda.waters@hhs.gov. And if you have any questions on implementing the system, logging in, obtaining a password, or anything of that nature, please notify the core and we will address your concerns immediately. Otherwise, we thank everyone today for participating in the SBRS training.
Yes, thank you all for your participation.